What's up, y'all? Fit Yoda back. Don't worry, I still got my baby Yoda. He's still here. We put him right here because we know what's up. So we are here with Madden 22 information because I am finally excited about Madden again. Madden 21 got boring as hell, but Madden 22 is announced. We have information. We're going to be going through all of the information we have so far. As of date of recording is June 25th. We will be going over all of the information. Any further information that comes out after this point, I will be covering in future videos, so stay tuned for those as well. And if you only care about certain parts of information, there will be timestamps. There will be sections of the video for each different segment or group of information available to us. So if you're only looking for certain pieces of information, check the timestamps. You'll be able to find it. But let's just hop right into it. So we're going to be looking at the information that EA has released about Madden 22 in order of release. So the first section that we're going to be looking at is about the dual entitlement breakdown. So what that means is next-gen consoles, Xbox Series X's and Series S's and PlayStation 5 versus PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. What's the difference between them? So keeping with the tradition that EA had last year, if you buy a version of Madden 22 for Xbox One or PlayStation 4, right, that's, I guess, current gen or past gen, previous gen, you will have a free upgrade to Xbox Series X or PlayStation 5 if you so desire. Obviously, that is good. We like that. Free upgrades. Should only have to buy Madden once. You only have to buy Madden once. However, the catch here is you have to buy the MVP version or the Dynasty Edition, which I'm going to be honest does kind of suck a little bit. I'm someone who doesn't usually pay for the upgraded versions of the games. I usually just get the base stock version. So I'm a little bit disappointed by that, but at the same time, I also don't have a next-gen console. So we'll see where I am in a couple months when the game actually comes out. So to sum that up, you get a free upgrade to the next-gen version of Madden 22 if you buy the previous gen version, as long as it's the MVP or the Dynasty Edition, right? As long as it's one of the upgraded versions, it's not just the base stock version of Madden 22. So here we can look at what features are actually in the game. As you can see, it's pretty much all the same. The difference is the dynamic game day stuff up here, which is one of EA's biggest selling points of the game. You know, next-gen stats, star-driven AI, game day atmosphere, next-gen movement 2.0, right? That's their, game is realistic. It looks like football looks like in real life. The game day atmosphere is actually really interesting, and we're going to be getting to that part later, but that part is actually really cool. But so if you're okay with not having those features in it, and again, we'll get to what those features are later in the video, that is the only difference between the next gen version and the previous gen version of Madden 22. Everything else will be the same. And EA has let us know that everything besides franchise carries over from previous gen to next gen. So if you buy the previous gen version of Madden 22, you get yourself a PlayStation 5 and you upgrade it from the PS4 version to the PS5 version. All of your progress will carry over except for franchise. Franchise will not carry over. So that is an important thing to distinguish. If you're a franchise guy, get the version that you're going to stick with all year. So that is it for the very first thing that EA has released. Let's close out of this tab, right? We got 5 more tabs to go through. So this will be section 2. Just talking about franchise. So if you're not interested in franchise, skip over this. If you're interested in franchise, this is the moment that you're going to want to be looking at. So just starting to look at this paragraph here, this is EA telling us, trying to, us a little bit, telling us, oh, we listen to your feedback. Again, we know it's all a little bit of BS, but there's a little bit of truth in there. So they listen to us and they implement the things that they think that they can do, or they think that can be, that they think will actually make them more money. So some things that are actually really good. Let's take a look at what they have. Staff management, big plus. I'm going to be honest, big plus. Love that. Skill tree progression systems, Also big plus. So adds further elements into the game. Weekly game strategy, game plans. I don't really care about that too much, to be honest. I know some people will, though. So they've added scenarios to keep things fresh. Got to make the right decisions. That's a little bit of the face of the franchise stuff in it. I'm expecting that to be pretty bare. Pretty much just a skeleton, not fully fleshed out. If it is fully fleshed out and there's a huge amount of possibilities that can happen, that actually does keep it fresh and interesting, that'd be great. I just wouldn't have my expectations too high for it. Usually those types of things take a year to develop, like they did with Face of the Franchise and whatever it was called before it was called Face of the Franchise. So they're going to be providing live service updates. There are 3 of them. So I expect to see some enhancements throughout the year. First one is going to be in September. So a month into the game, they're going to be trying to update the game based off of, I assume, based off of player feedback. But so just keep an eye on that. The yard is back. We got new places to go, so you can have your field be in different locations. Boss characters, NFL talents, celebrations, items, ranked mode. It's all that. It's all that my court thing that NBA 2K already has. I haven't played the yard. I've heard it's fun though. So they're just expanding that, adding some more customizability to that. So Face of the Franchise is back. There's more customization, big thing being quarterback, wide receiver, running back, and you can be a linebacker. I'm a big fan of that. I like playing as linebackers in superstar mode, stuff like that. I like playing as defense. I like playing as running backs. So we'll see how they do it, right? Everything else I'm pretty sure is going to be the same. But if we skip all this and we look at this little paragraph right here, this short sentence, you can level up this year by sharing progression between the yard and Face the Franchise so you never miss a beat. That is huge. So basically what they're saying is, how you get those level up rewards and progress and stuff, that will all share in between the yard, Face the Franchise at the same time. So that is pretty big. Superstar KO is back. I never got into Superstar KO mode. I thought it was a little bit of a gimmick, and I thought it would get replaced by the yard. But it is back. Unique stadiums, house rules. Whoop-de-doo. I think it's going to be the same as last year where they don't really touch it. It's there if you want to play it as an nice little arcade mode, but it's not really something that they're looking to be a marquee selling point. So this is one of the big things that they are hyping up as a selling point for this game, Dynamic Game Day, all right? They call it a new feature that will impact gameplay across every mode in this year's game, making the thrills and unpredictability of the NFL come to life. So it's a lot of talk, and we'll see what that means in a sec. For starters, we have star-driven AI, game day atmosphere. Game day atmosphere, like I said, is one of the things that I think is actually pretty cool, and I'm looking forward to seeing that. Make up dynamic game day. So they use next-gen technology, real-world player data, AI, to call it emotion-driven and interactive gameplay. Again, that's all just throwing out buzzwords to make us feel excited and let our imaginations run wild. So here we'll actually see what it actually means. So star-driven AI, right? Change AI behavior and team tendencies based on real-world data over the course of the NFL season. So that means they're going to be adjusting game plans, run, pass, splits, I assume play calls and playbooks throughout the season. We'll see how good of a job they do with that. I also expect this to be pretty bare bones and not fully fleshed out, but maybe it's something that they really do pay attention to and continue to improve on throughout the year, so that it does actually become really cool. But I am interested in seeing what they do with it, obviously. With redesigned next-gen player movement 2.0, players will blitz, scramble, break tackles during gameplay based on the real-world next-gen stats data. I think that's all just talk. Again, we'll see how it is when the game actually, gets released. They say stuff like this every year. So this part is the interesting part. with each stadium housing a unique home field advantage game modifier. So basically, they have this arbitrary, not really arbitrary, but they have this value called momentum, right? And if you're the home team, depending on what field you're the home team at, your team will have different boosts depending on how much momentum you have. So, right, if you reach a certain threshold of momentum, your team will receive a boost, or your opponent's team will receive some sort of negative impairment. And each stadium has its own thing, right? Some of them overlap, right? The Jets and the Giants share the same stadium. They have the same home field advantage, but you can shift momentum, high stakes moments, new animations. I'm actually excited to see crowd animations, on-field reactions, celebrations. I think one of the things that's been sorely lacking out of Madden in the past decade or so is the lack of immersion, and that they've made it very non-immersive. You don't really feel like you're there. You feel like you're playing a game from your couch as opposed to feeling like you can really get lost in the moment, in the stadium, in the crowd, all that stuff. The crowds have looked really bad in the last few years. That did not improve as, quality and power of systems and hardware improved. Crowds and stuff did not improve. So they have some screenshots here. We'll take a look at them real quickly. We see that. I think it looks fine. I don't think it looks really all that special, I'm going to be honest. We got All Access coming, so we can talk about All Access real quickly. There's going to be some developer deep dives. That'll be, those will be good to watch. So that'll be Madden developers talking about some of the features that they've implemented and really kind of getting into the nitty gritty and the details, which I think is pretty cool. I like the details. Creator content reveals. So it sounds like they're going to allow some of the EA game changers, right, some of their partners on YouTube and stuff like that, to share some content before everyone else gets a chance to it, right, to kind of hype it up, I guess. I'm not really sure about that. The Making Madden podcast, I feel like that's going to be pretty similar to the developer deep dives, but it's a podcast also led by some of the developers, sharing stories and decisions that go into making the game. I think it's really interesting because EA is in general very opaque and not transparent with their development process and some of the decisions that they make to get to the game that we all play. And so I think that'll be pretty interesting. I might check it out once or twice. I don't really care enough to actually watch it though, but it could be interesting. Gridiron Notes, of course, we're reading those. Same things that they've always been. Notes on patches, updates, letting us know what's coming, what's new, all that good stuff. So we got a schedule here, right? Like I said, this is from June 21st, right? Date of recording is June 25th. So that's why we have franchise stuff. More dynamic game days coming out on the 28th. Fates of the franchise info is coming out on July 5th. More Superstar KO in the Yard info is coming out on July 12th. EA Play Spotlight the 19th. And Ratings Week another week later. As you can see, everything is on a 1-week cycle. Coming out on that Monday every week until late July. And we'll get ratings, and then more stuff is in August, right? Game gets released in August. So once we get to August, we'll start getting like real information and start to get to see what the game really looks like. So section 3, the next section is about pre-orders. So what do you need to know about the pre-orders? Again, I just mentioned in the previous section, they talked about it a little bit. You upgrade versions, you get extra cool stuff, right? You get packs, you get items. If you want all that stuff, you already probably know you're going to get an upgraded version. If you don't want all that stuff, you probably already know that you're not going to get the upgraded version. To me, the big thing about whether you get one of the upgraded versions, right, the Dynasty Edition or the MVP Edition, as opposed to the regular edition, I think probably if you don't care about getting an extra couple packs or a couple extra items, right, you're going to be doing that for cross-gen compatibility, so you get that free upgrade between current gen and next gen, right? So upgrading from Xbox One to Xbox Series X. I think that would be the reason to get one of the upgraded versions more so than getting, some packs and some items and stuff. So again, all these links are in the description. So if you want to check this out yourself, you're more than welcome to. There will be a link in the description. I'm not going to go through all these things. So we can go right on through that one. And here we got the community playtest update details. As of, I'm recording this on the 25th. This has actually started. There are 2 weeks of it. So the second week, I believe, is next week. This has been the first week. And if you want to see some people's reactions to actually getting their hands on this beta version of the game, I would check out some other YouTubers like GutFox or who else has got access to it. The big difference here, I think, is you can actually play Ultimate Team. Right, in the past, the community playtest never included Ultimate Team. I'm not sure if they included the Yard or Superstar KO, but also we haven't seen that yet because that is week 2, right? So currently, I'm recording this on Friday, right at the end of the week of week 1 of the playtest. So that's just exhibition, right? Play now, franchise, and Ultimate Team. So that's all we've seen at this point at all. Most of us haven't even seen it because people are not allowed to upload videos about showing gameplay on the channel. So hopefully we'll get to see more of that soon. And we haven't seen the Yard or Superstar KO yet. And moving on here, we actually get known issues. This is awesome. I love the fact that Madden and EA is telling us they know about these issues. Because in the past, like I mentioned, EA is oftentimes very opaque and not transparent about the things that they go into developing the game. And so we're just left to wonder, and obviously we're going to throw the axe at them pretty darn quickly when we see that things that we want fixed and things that we want added, enhanced, we don't get them. Or they don't address certain bugs that we see in the game and they don't address them. Because they're trying to, sweep things under the rug, which they do a lot. So I think it's really good that they're already talking about known issues and telling us things that they know are problems with the game, because that means that they are aware of them. That means that we can assume that they're planning on addressing them, or if they're not going to address them, we can assume that they will give us a reason, they will give us an explanation as to why they are focusing on other things and not this. And so we can just have a better dialogue, a more free-flowing, open, communicative dialogue between the community who plays Madden and the developers who make it. And so I'm hoping that this will be a big step into getting a game that makes players consistently happy. But again, it all depends on them, really. So moving on. So if you're interested in Ultimate Team, you're going to be interested in this section. We're on our second to last tab here for this video. So again, they're going over what Gridiron Notes are. If you haven't seen them before, they just release information in written text form for updates, information, and things that go on. And this continues throughout the year. So as they patch the game, as they make updates to the game, they add new features to the game. They add new skills and enhancements and all that fun stuff. They put it here in the Gridiron Notes so that we can see it. So Ultimate Team auctions, they've changed them. First thing that you can see, economic information. So that's the stuff right here. They tell you what the median price is, how many cards are currently available, and the lowest buy now price. I'm assuming that these things might change. We obviously had a bunch of that stuff, especially like recent sales and stuff. We already had a bunch of that stuff in the companion app. The companion app was one of the best ways to actually buy and sell items off the auction house in Ultimate Team. And because they're adding more of that information to the console versions, I think that's only an improvement. Giving us more information, always better. The big thing here, though, is price ranges. So no longer will you be able to sell items for values that they're really not worth. You won't be able to sell really good items for 250 coins. You also won't be able to sell really bad items for 2 million coins. What this means is they're cracking down on coin selling. It's going to be a lot harder to sell coins or buy coins because you'll actually have to buy a card for within some realm of what it's actually worth. Now, I don't know what the range is going to be right here. If we look at the visual, it says 1 million to 25 million. That's a pretty big range. So we don't actually know what their ranges are going to be. Hopefully they're not too tight, because if they keep the price ranges too tight, there's not as much of a free market. There's not as much of an opportunity to invest in cards and snipe and kind of make money off of the market, which is what a lot of us, including me, do as their main way of making money. But, however, we will be getting to another part later where they will talk about how there are other features that are great, highly positive, that will actually help no money spent players and players who don't spend money on the game to make money without grinding all the time. So like they said, they releasing some of the explanations as to why they did what they did. Ensures a fair price for player items. I don't really care about that. I'm more of a bigger fan of the free market. The market corrects itself anyway, so that's not actually that big of a deal. But it helps restrict the transfer of legitimate coins through auctions. That's the thing that they're cracking down on. The price range, here's the big thing. The price range will be determined by the current market price. Now, EA is not entirely dumb. Fortunately, they do it dynamically. The price range will change dynamically based off of the median price. So really, all EA has to keep track of is what is the median price of this card. And what the median price of that card is will just automatically produce a price range. Which means the price ranges will be changing. And how often will they be changing? They will be changing every hour. Where does it say that? It says it somewhere. Will be honored in the companion app as well. Obviously, it should be. I don't see the... Hold on. Frequently asked questions. Here we go. So will you be able to snipe? They say yes, you'll be able to snipe because they won't actually implement the price range until there are a certain number of cards on the block, or a certain number of that card has been sold. Which means that if you want to really snipe and you actually get like crazy good deals, like being able to buy cards for 250 coins, you will only be able to do that right when a card comes out, because once the price range is in effect, which it will be after a certain number of sales, that will no longer be available. So sniping is really kind of gone, but they're trying to pretend like it's still there, which it kind of is still there, but it's different. You can't snipe at any time. You can really only snipe right when a card comes out. How quickly will the price range go into place? Like I just said, after a set number of auctions have been completed, will be the price range will update based off of the median price. And so they're calling it rather quickly. So how long will you have to snipe? We don't know how long you'll have to snipe. It could be an hour. It could be 5 minutes. It could be a day. They say rather quickly. These two things kind of contradict each other, because they're like, yes, there will be room to snipe, but then the next question they answer, but not that much room to snipe. So how often will price range be updated? Hourly at launch, right? That's what I mentioned before. They will be updated hourly. Check the median price of that card getting sold, and they will update the price range every hour. So I think this is something that you could try to exploit to make some coins. When I say exploit, I don't mean it in a negative sense. I mean as an intelligent way of trying to make some money. But they do say that they're really not entirely sure about it. That's just their plan. They'll change it and adjust it if needed. You can't post outside the price range. And if you post it for something that's too high and you want to retract it, you can always take it off the block. No new information there. Will EA be listening to us? Yes. We'll see. Of course they're going to say that. But so that's the auction house. So obviously that's some pretty big changes right there. Don't really entirely know how that's going to play out in terms of, true functionality, in terms of reality. But for the most part, as someone who's very big on sniping, I'm a little sad to see sniping kind of gone. but at the same time, I think the reasons that they did what they did make sense, and I think that they still left enough wiggle room that there are still ways to make money off of the auction house, and that I think is more important. So we're on to our last tab, the last section, more about franchise mode. So we're talking about just franchise here, so let's talk about it. Franchise staff. Instead of coach and owner mode, there is just franchise mode and franchise staff. Expand the coaching roster, you got coordinators, right? Offensive and defensive. Player personnel department, so that's going to be like your scouts. So you got 4 characters to manage, including yourself. Each week you can upgrade your staff with talent trees. So staff actually have talent trees themselves. And so you can kind of upgrade and design them how you want. So you got staff points. It's basically experience. Right, you do stuff, you accomplish goals, completing scenarios. You get experience. You use that experience to upgrade. You have different trees, so you can upgrade your coaches in different paths so that they have different strong skills. Pretty basic, pretty standard. Nothing crazy here, but I think it's a positive thing that they included in the game. Talent trees. This is what I mentioned before. So take a look at the visual here. You have different paths you can upgrade your player. Different paths you can upgrade your staff. So you can really kind of customize how your staff functions. Unfortunately, they only show head coach here. I think, are they showing all of them? They're showing all of them, but there appear to be only 2 different paths, except for scouting, where for contracts there are 3. There's not exactly all that much customizability, all that much personalization that you can do here. But at least there's a little bit. I can't knock that. It's not going to be crazy, I don't think. That's not going to be, this game-changing, revolutionary thing that everyone's going to love. This is actually good. Scouting is definitely a big thing in terms of immersion. One of the reasons that people loved NCAA, good scouting, NCAA games is the scouting. We'll see how good it is. Obviously, there's some stuff here. I'm not even gonna judge based off of this. I don't think you can really get a feel for it until you're actually in the game, and you can see how easy the flow of going from one thing to the next thing to the next thing really is. If this takes 10 hours just to scout for a week, no one's going to use it. It's awful. But if the workflow is really, really easy and smooth, and you can do all the scouting and it's still really interesting, but you can work through it quickly enough so you can go through multiple seasons without wanting to blow your brains out, it'll be good. But we won't be able to find out really until the game drops. Weekly strategy, game plans, basically. Do your drills right, set a game plan against your opponent. You'll get extra experience, you'll get extra boosts, all that stuff. I'm not even going to go into it too much, to be honest. I think it's pretty basic. Let's see, weekly strategy, reps, experience. They introduced fatigue. Fatigue is going to be more important in franchise this year. That much seems clear. How much it's going to matter, don't know. We'll see. But they are adding some things where, your player's going to be more tired after having traveled long distances, and your players will be less tired on home games, and you'll have an extra day to practice, or I don't know. But I think the fact that they're letting us immerse ourselves like real football a little bit better, I think it's an upgrade. I think it's definitely a positive, and EA deserves some credit here. This is all the same. They're calling it a team profile. It's just going to be another screen where you can look at your team. So, Season Engine. So this is the tool that drives the storyline, right? So they mentioned in one of the previous sections that you will be able to make decisions, and there will be decision trees, and that will impact how the game develops. That'll impact how your season develops. That'll impact plenty of other things. I don't really know. So here's the key line. 30 brand new scenarios taking place at any point in the season. It doesn't sound like a lot. 30 is really not that many. And I'm going to be honest here. If you have a scenario once a season, It's not enough scenarios to make the game really interesting. But if you have a different scenario every few weeks, right? You know, every 4 or 5 weeks, that does have a significant impact on your season, right? And then you have one in the playoffs or 2 in the playoffs and 1 in the Super Bowl. You can exhaust that list of 30 pretty quickly. You might hit every single scenario after like 3 seasons, 4 seasons, and you might start repeating them. And I think having to repeat scenarios is probably going to be pretty annoying, and this feature will lose its luster pretty quickly. So hopefully they'll keep adding scenarios, or they'll branch it off dynamically so that each scenario really does build upon itself, and so every playthrough and every decision really feels unique. The key to this is how unique is each season going to feel? How unique is your franchise going to feel? I think that's going to be the big thing, and I don't think 30 is going to be enough for it to really feel unique. But again, we'll see. I don't want to judge too early. Cinematics, that's just going to be the fans are going to look better, the character models are going to look better, interactions are going to look better. Sure, again, we'll see. Press conference, that's going to be more the decision-making trees. We've seen that in Face of the Franchise. They're adding it to normal franchise mode. I think that's pretty cool. Better something than nothing. I think that's pretty much EA's approach to this year is better something than nothing. They're not really fleshing out any one thing to make it amazing, but they're adding a bunch of features that we all want, so that we'll all like, basically. Which is, I think it's a step up. GM office. Again, this is all a little fluff. Don't really know how it's going to go. We'll see at the game. Locker room, same thing. More decision trees. Help improve players. Again, we'll see. We'll see how unique it is. If it ends up getting really stale and being the same situations over and over again, it probably won't be that interesting. But if they actually have enough scenarios where it feels different, will be interesting. So again, can't really know just yet. Drafting is apparently better. Improved decision-making, positional value, teams' current needs, draft class generators, progression, regression. Again, this is all the same thing it's all been before. We've already had all this. So that's not new. Trade logic and value, they're improving it. Age is a factor. Overall is a factor. Development traits is a factor. So theoretically, we won't be able to screw over the AI with some, because the AI is dumb at trading like we always used to be able to. Authenticity, jersey rules, both AI and user teams. Nothing big. All right. But so that's franchise, and that has been the whole video. I know it's kind of a long, but again, I did separate into sections, so hopefully you can find the information that you think is relevant to you. And I think it's going to be really interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing what else they come out with and what other information they tell us. Can't wait to see more videos and gameplay. And yeah, I'm excited. So stay tuned, stick around for more content. I'll be doing these updates more frequently so that the videos aren't as long every time. But that's been it for me. Hope you all enjoyed. I'll see y'all later. Peace.